Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to celebrate Statistical 2.0 data matter that opens a new page in the history of the State Statistical Service of Ukraine. We have learned, all of us Ukrainians, to value data. We know how many targets are intercepted during one night in the Ukrainian skies. We know what kind of munitions it takes to neutralize enemy assaults, amount of blood for transfusions, number of schools and museums destroyed by the enemy that'll have to rehabilitate or rebuild. We have learned, or at least learning, to live in the world of numbers and data. And today we will be discussing the importance of data or present specific solutions, but also introduce to you the first phase of statistical service transformation from routine to necessary analytics that informs policy in real time. We'll hear about new achievements, plans for the future. Before, however, we open it up, I would like to recall that we have this opportunity thanks to the defenders of Ukraine who defend our land without stop. It's about heroism, courage, bravery. So may I ask you to stand up to pay tributes and homage. Thank you. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes. And we will wish all of us peaceful skies. We have convened at the -1 level, so no need to go anywhere in case of an air raid alert. And you may also want to know that we'll be hosting a number of foreign speakers. So if you need interpretation, don't forget to pick up your headsets that are available at the desk to your left. We'll be looking forward to a speech to be delivered by First Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Digital Transformation, Mr. Fedorov. He's with us already, and Mr. Fedorchuk. This whole event, as the global transformation of the State Statistical Service, is generously supported by our partners, EGAP, Ukrainian Swiss program implemented by East Europe Fund. With this, may I invite a delegate of the Federal Council of Switzerland, His Excellency Jacques Gerber.
Deputy Prime Minister Fedorov, dear Head of the State Statistics Service of Ukraine, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear partner. It is an honor for me to welcome you here at this event, but also to speak on behalf of Switzerland. The event marks an important milestone in Ukraine's transformation, not only institutional, but also cultural. The reform of the state statistics of Ukraine is not only about a new digital system and portal for statistics. It is about a new philosophy of public governance that is based on data, efficiency, transparency, and trust. Switzerland has been a reliable partner of Ukraine for more than 3 decades. One of the key directions of this partnership is digital transformation, an area where Switzerland can actually learn a lot for Ukraine. I really insist on that point. Now it's time for us to learn from you. Since 2015, we have been supporting the EGAP program implemented by the East European Foundation in cooperation with the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. Over these 10 years, we have jointly created thousands of electronic services and innovative platforms. These are used daily by Ukrainians in various life situations, for example, for birth of a child, opening a business, or receiving state aid for vulnerable groups. Digitalizations of the public services has actually helped the Ukrainian states to be highly resilient. It could continue the service provision even in the darkest days of the ongoing war. And today we are proud to contribute to another systemic change, the reform of the State Statistics Service of Ukraine. This reform might not be so visible for common citizens, but it is paramount for Ukraine's effective economy recovery, reconstruction, and, of course, modernization. As the country rebuilds, decisions must be grounded in facts, not only assumptions. This concerns aspects about where to invest, what infrastructure to reconstruct first, and how to support communities. Transparent data allows government and partners to target resources where they are most needed. So, data turns sectorial recovery plans into real, measurable results for citizens. That is why the State Statistics Services is a strategic institution for the whole public administration. It is important that the reform of the state statistic is taking place in full alignment with the EU regulations and the methodology of Eurostat. We are pleased to support the ambitious team of the Ukrstat, which is determined to make statistics open, modern, and user-friendly. A successful digital transformation of the data collection and processing is the key to a new quality of governance that Ukrainians aspire to. Reliable, accessible data will empower better decision, strengthen public trust, and accelerate Ukraine's reform path. Switzerland is really proud to be part of this journey, a journey on which Ukraine proves every day, even under the most difficult circumstances, it is possible to implement complex governance reforms and build a future based on innovation and trust. I would like to congratulate the team of the State Statistics Services and, of course, also the Ministry of Digital Transformation, the government of Ukraine, and all partners on this important achievement. A good day to all of you, a good journey. Дякую.
Дякуємо вам за ці слова і, звичайно ж, за вашу таку важливу і послідовну.
Thank you very much for your welcome remarks and for your consistent support to Ukraine. With this, I would also like to invite Viktor Liakh, East Europe Foundation. Good morning. Indeed, it's a special morning today because we are standing at the threshold of a new history of Ukrainian statistics. Let's all celebrate this moment. I would also like to congratulate the team of the Statistical Service of the Ministry of Digital Transformation in behalf of East Europe Foundation. We've worked very hard in order to present today the updated philosophy of the service. Jacques mentioned that it is not merely a platform, but a new philosophy of the statistical service. We have heard a lot that data should drive innovation. It is so when we as the nation have to become even more efficient and effective in dire times. Every shag matters, and we have to become a better copy of ourselves in order to be able to effectively resist the enemy and at the same time grow and evolve. And data is a very solid foundation for decision-making. Changes at the State Statistical Service will lead it to an agency collecting and processing data to the service that will support decision-making in the government, business sector, and in Ukrainian communities. It is therefore that we think that the statistical service is particularly important, taking into consideration our European integration and the recovery of Ukraine. For in both aspects, data will be key. Our fund is a strategic partner of the Ministry of Digital Transformation and the Statistical Service of Ukraine in implementation of this reform. And let me express my gratitude to both teams that have been making this happen. We will discuss a philosophy centered on the needs and interests of end users so that we all can use the services of the service, citizens and businesses alike. Our fund supported by the Swiss government is helping implement a program that supports not only creation of various platforms but modernization and updating of the business processes, building new platform that will promote communication with the end users. We hope that the government will rest decisions they are making on data. Today, it's not just data-driven decision-making, but AI-driven. That is to say, the government will use data to inform its decisions and rely on the benefits of the artificial intelligence. I would also like to recall that yesterday at the Win-Win Summit, Ukraine was recognized globally and awarded a world record certificate honoring Ukraine's achievement in introducing AI in public services. Once again, thank you, the Ministry. And needless to say, all these steps have been supported by the Swiss Confederation. And in summary, I would like to wish patience, energy, creativity to both teams and state that I am all ears for the forthcoming presentation.
Thank you very much for your words and making this even better with the great news you delivered. And now we have from Luxembourg, where we have the Eurostat head office, where they process and merge all the data from the EU. And in a couple of years, we believe that our data are to join this. So Mariana Kotzeva now should be with us using a video call.
Delighted to have you online, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I understood a little bit because I'm Bulgarian, so it's a very close language to my native one. So, dear First Prime Minister, dear Chair of the State Statistics Service of Ukraine, dear Mr. Gerber and Liakh, dear international partners, speakers, distinguished guests, and colleagues, I hope I didn't miss anybody because unfortunately I could address you only virtually. So let me first thank you very much for your kind invitation. It's an honor and pleasure to join you today when, as you announced at the beginning, you're opening a new page, a new chapter for Ukrainian state statistics 2.0. I want immediately to begin by extending my warmest congratulations to all my colleagues, to all the supporters from the Ukrainian government and all the people involved in the preparation of the new official statistics portal and the introduction of AI assistant StatGPT. Both products and this historical moment clearly demonstrates the commitment of our Ukrainian colleagues to innovate and to provide high-quality statistics to users, values that are at the very heart of the European official statistics functioning. You are building a new data portal, which will provide so many different functions: consolidated access to official statistical information, a database with the ability to filter indicators and download sets in various formats, interactive visualizations with filtering function for creating custom selections, machine-readable format and APIs for integration into external systems, convenient search and support from StatGPT, AI assistants, which I hope will reduce the time spent for searching for data and for preparing own materials. All this rich set of functions will certainly increase the use of state statistical data. Even more, the StatGPT and all the functionalities and design of the portal complies with international statistical standards, which are used by Eurostat and also by OECD and the World Bank. In this way, what you are doing today, what you are launching today, is also a demonstration of Ukraine's commitment to implement the latest global practices, the best of what exists, and this certainly makes Ukrainian Statistical Office an indispensable part of European and global statistical community. And let me say that what you are doing and the issues which you are trying to address with opening the new portal are issues which are facing in the European statistical system, in Eurostat in particular. We have the same challenges everywhere across the world, namely to ensure that official statistics remain discoverable, usable, because only if our data and statistics which we produce are used, then, only then, our mission is completed. Artificial intelligence is transforming how people access and understand information. Increasingly, users stop visiting our official websites to search for the data, or at least they change the way in which they interact with our websites. They are searching for visualization, they are searching for opportunities to create, to continue the life of our data by creating own products. Also, with the abundance of information, of social media, with the development of AI technologies, people want to find the information quickly. They want immediately to find the data in a context. They want to read stories. They are not happy just to go to the databases and to take out numbers. So this brings all of us working in official statistics to opportunities and risks. On the one hand, AI technologies opens opportunities because they could make our data more accessible, more powerful, and understandable. On the other side, all these search engines which appear on the information market can separate users from the original, from the official sources of high quality and information. So therefore, we in the official statistics must adapt. We indeed can ensure that our data could be found, but we also have to fight for our data to be searched and used, which requires a maintenance of trust of what we are doing. Let me also say, maybe I could repeat what Mr. Gerber said at the beginning, that we could learn from you, because these challenges are common. In Eurostat, we are investing also in making our content machine readable, structured, and compliant with AI standards. We are also developing partnerships with technology providers and redistributors to ensure proper attribution and context, maintaining the official stamp of trust that distinguish official statistics from the other data sources in the crowded digital information market. And let me just announce that next year, our annual strategic conference, because every year in the European statistical system, we have an annual conference of all the heads of statistical offices of the European statistical system. We choose a strategic topic every year so that we could meet, discuss, and make strategic decisions on the future development of the European statistical system. Next year, the topic is AI readiness of official statistics, and it is hosted by Switzerland, by the way, because Switzerland is also very active in advocating for preparing official statistics to fit to AI-driven future. And of course, enlargement countries are invited. And in this moment of time, I would like to invite Ukrainian State Statistical Service 1 year from now exactly to share its experience, its leading experience with opening and lessons learned during the first year of functioning of new data portal. Let me now, dear colleagues, say once again that what you are opening today as a new chapter is not only a celebration of your commitment to innovation and using the digital technologies, it's also an indispensable part of Ukrainian commitment to adhere to EU statistical standards and values on its way of accession to the EU. Accession drives reforms, strengthens institutions, and further aligns Ukraine with democratic values and standards. Since the opening of accession negotiations in June 2024, Ukrainian State Statistical Service has advanced steadily on reforms despite the difficulties which was created due to the war. The commitment of my Ukrainian colleagues in the State Statistical Service were remarkable. And therefore, let me use this opportunity to say thank you and really to express all the congratulations, not only of Eurostat colleagues, but also of our colleagues throughout the EU member states and statistical offices. We have just reached, I think, yes, 1 month ago, important milestone, namely that Ukraine and the European Commission concluded the fastest bilateral screening process in the EU history. It represented an important step in the accession process. So there is an aim that by the end of this year, it's a top priority for European Commission as well, to work towards the objective of opening the first negotiation cluster on fundamentals. And I'm mentioning this because fundamentals include also official statistics. And this is not by chance that official statistics is part of the fundamentals cluster, together with the rule of law, together with fundamental rights, the functioning of democratic institutions, the public administration reform, and the economic criteria. So therefore, dear colleagues, I would like to use this opportunity to encourage to continue and today is a demonstration of your commitment and professionalism to do so, to continue placing official statistics high on the agenda during your path to EU. Because it's not just you have to adhere to statistical standards, it is the time when high-quality statistics themselves are instrumental in the enlargement process. Without reliable, timely, and comparable official statistics, governments cannot design policies. The public debate will not be fully informed, and the citizens could not have a full accountability on the speed and details of the accession process. So therefore, dear colleagues, let me conclude once again with my deepest respect and gratitude to all staff of State Statistics Service of Ukraine for your dedicated work, for making everything what is possible, that figures about Ukraine are available, visible, because they are highly demanded by all international partners and EU institutions and national users in countries belonging to the EU. So on behalf of Eurostat, once again, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to learn from you and to listen about the functioning of the portal in due time from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your support. Мар'яна Коцева, пані та панове, голова Євростату, була на прямому зв'язку із Києвом. Просто зараз ми це бачили.
Mariana Kotzeva from Eurostat. We having this event called State Statistics, Official Statistics 2.0. Data matter. One of the headliners of this morning is first Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine, Minister of Digital Transformation, Mykhailo Fedorov.
Всім доброго дня. Трошки отак мало місця залишило.
We do not have much space here, but let me squeeze in. Thank you very much to all the audience, members of the audience, to all the guests and my predecessors who have discussed the importance of statistics, the reason why we started this transformation, why we have to go on with it. We started this process back in 2021 because back then we realized that data rode supreme, and with the data we can have and develop the new occupations, data-based ones. And we have to create a state where all the decisions are taken based on high-quality data, because this is about transparency and efficiency of decision-making. When in 2021 we started audit of the statistical service of Ukraine, just to look into those different processes, the design, the data collection, the data analysis, the techniques, their foundation. We interviewed all the heads of the regional branches, regional offices, and heads of all the departments, and we have in that service the highest number of departments ever. So in order to get into the nuts and bolts and the scalability, solve the scalability problem. And we could see that there was a big problem with collection of data, processing of data. A lot would be done manually, you see, and almost 60% of all the time, the team, players, people who worked at the services, well, dedicate their time to collection, manual collection and processing of data, because the data would be delivered in different formats. We're still changing that. It is not yet finalized, and I'm going to discuss that. Well, that was basically the problem of the lack of compatibility between different systems or among different systems, which had been used at that point for some decades. And the vision that we shaped back then was the state statistics of the future as a data holding company, receiving, processing, and disseminating data. And in this vision, we have all the words in their proper place, and every word matters, like the data themselves. So we have to say that the state statistical service is now working directly online, and we developed this system and translated all the techniques of previous research into the functionalities of the system itself. And this examination of data, we're going to discuss the updated portal and the AI products which are being created. Our task was to implement the vision that you can see in this slide. We had certain goals which we're pursuing actually with a centralized automated collection of data, less manual labor, technology galore, as little as possible and as much as possible, respectively, not to overwhelm and overburden the general public with unusable reports. I think everything can be collected online. We have no cases proving otherwise. We have professional discussions with the people responsible for the methodology, but nowadays everything is data. This is reported replaced with administrative data to collect the data available automatically and readily. This is development of innovative trends in technology, streamlining of the structure itself, and integration into the European statistical system. And the point number 6, streamlining. I would like to discuss it specifically. There's a lot of homework to be still done, and we should think as to how we should arrange it, design it for the associates, for the team players to have all the necessary resources for their development. Because people handling data, people as business analysts, developers, statistics analysts, stat analysts, this should all be translated into available and readable statistics. Those people should be paid for their labor, should be appreciated, should be provided with the opportunity to develop their talent. They need all the technological equipment, or they have to develop actively and so forth. So our task is to accomplish that and to finalize this structural redesigning process to present new services payable and serving as resources for the revenues for the payroll at the end of the day. We have to headhunt for analysts from the markets, developers from the market. So having meetings with the key persons, we realized that the experience, the talent, the methodology that you possess and the institutional memory, well, those people have unique knowledge and expertise. So your knowledge plus technology plus analysts, that can lead to the situation that the State Committee of Statistics becomes the flagship. It's already becoming it, but we have to do the homework.
So what have we done? I already mentioned some things. We audited business processes and structures. We developed a digital transformation concept. And let me once again say thank you to the Swiss government and the East Europe Fund. They helped us hire analysts and one of Ukraine's biggest IT companies, PAM. So we audited technical infrastructure. We also promoted adoption of the law on state statistical. We started building cloud storage solutions, and with the help of our partners, we launched the implementation of the Sigma system. It is being developed. Well, it is in the process of integration. The functionals of the system will be further evolved within the framework of the Statistical Service of Ukraine. We conducted a number of surveys, and once done, it'll become official. Today, AI product to be presented today is also what we are planning to build in the long run. Speaking of the law, the Statistical Services team knows more about it, structure and contents, but I know that it'll help collect official data sets that were never collected before and help us achieve this vision. Sigma platform, once again, we would have never done it given the present bureaucracy. But thanks to our partners, once again, thank you, Jacques, your team, East Europe Funds team. We finance the development of Sigma. We never reached out for the budgetary money, and I hope that we managed to capitalize the trust vested in us. So today we have a modernized statistical service team. It helps collect and disseminate data. I will not give any spoilers, but one of the most important financial institutions of the world uses at least architectural system very much like ours, and not many countries in the world could boast of having anything similar. But it is important to hire people, remunerate the skills that'll support automatic running of the system. New portal, I understand that you will hear more about it. Firsthand, the portal looks good, convenient. It gives access to a number of data sets. Matter of fact, it'll make life easier for government institutes, the media, investors looking into the situation in Ukraine. So this is something that gives care to people who are working with. You will also hear more detail about the assistant we built that'll help users search for the necessary data and find them. Those who've built in APIs to already have it, but AI will expedite search for the data customers need. Plans for the future, next steps. We will certainly keep developing Sigma, building it up in order to be able to collect data real time. We will have to integrate alternative data sources so that we overburden our people and businesses with the requests. I know what I'm talking about because from the very beginning I looked at the service taken routinely and started trying to fill out what the respondents are requested to do, and so that it was not practicable for people who work 8 hours a day, need to take care of their households, their families, unless alternative ways to collect data is scaling up again its internal capacity to hire analysts, other skills, and this in turn calls for organizational change. Without our partners, we wouldn't have been able to take the steps we have taken. We need to learn how to monetize services. We need to change to the situation from the legislative point of view in order to streamline the operation of the State Statistical Service, organizational changes and monetization. I already mentioned that data is the blood of new economy. It's new oil, so to speak. We create a competence center for AI, dashboards that help support our decision making. We work extensively with Palantir. We have accumulated significant expertise. Governments of other nations are following the trend. We know that soon there'll be created special positions for persons responsible for data and data imports. It is important to understand how much data is used in decision making, how good data is incorporated in the policy making processes and procedures. So if we want to build a comfortable digital nation, we need to be able to predict the impact of our activities. It's about decisions taken on the basis of the solution. Yet another historic data have to be transferred so they can be used and, of course, effectively protected. So, to sum it up, I do take pride in what we've so far achieved. I'd like to congratulate the State Statistical Services team, both new and the old one. I would also like to say thank you to developers and analysts who are working with us sometimes long hours, because they have trust in what we are planning to do. Also, let me say thank you to the Swiss government and the East Europe Fund. Your decision to finance our effort has been crucial and decisive. Needless to say, we'll need to build a self-sustained financing system. In other words, we will support the State Statistical Service transformation, trying to not be over-distracted by the circumstances of the war, because we need to take data-driven solutions, data-driven decisions, and our partners, I'm sure, will help us do so. Thank you, First Vice Prime Minister. Now, let me invite someone who is implementing this vision on a daily basis, turning statistical data into the oil and the blood of new economy. Why the changes are so essential and how the State Statistical Service is turning its new page. Arsen Makarchuk, head of the State Statistical Service, will take the floor in the moment. Sometimes what you can explain, you can describe using data. The state statistical service collects data about Ukraine. We collect, process, calculate condensed milk produced in January. You ask what, we ask how much or many. Data will show whether it is time to buy real estate, to procure a heat boiler. Data watch over Ukraine. Call for data. Data do matter. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, call for data. Data are important. Data is the new gold, the new blood, the new oil of Ukraine's economy. You've heard about that a lot and will be hearing even more. Businesses change, the world is changing as new vendors, suppliers, sources of data emerge. First Vice Prime Minister was right when he said that we know practically all we need. The problem is whether our decisions inform our decisions, drive our decisions, whether these data are available timely. For decades, the State Statistical Service supplied vital data to the country, official stats. Question is, what's official stats? Is that it or it? The point of departure, what we start with, determines how much we have to transform. It is time for reset, for transformation of the State Statistical Service. Carol said it is not about technical update in the modern world when you have to move twice as fast to be ahead of others. We are running twice as fast. We are introducing State Stat 2.0, as we call it. It's going to be the point of departure for the all other efforts to come. We Mr. Fedorov has already told you about the to-do list we had before we started transformation. We want to implement our vision to provide users with reliable and accurate data, and to not just identify, accumulate, and verify, but to infuse economic decision-making with this information, to creating entry points for all users. In this new role, we are looking at meeting the needs of our clients, because if clients are not happy with us, they may find this data elsewhere, including private data vendors. The relevant competences already in the market, so we'll have to compete. And we also are in charge of effective cooperation with them. So we'll be looking at how we get hold of the data and what do we do with it. Our vision is where we're heading for and where we will end up sooner or later. This new generation is user-centered, user-focused, and this emanates from your confidence in the veritability of the data we provide to you, with the traceability of the data. This is the solid foundation for building the future of the country, and so far data will support us along our way to the European Union. Data will also support the recovery of Ukraine. the State Statistical Service and the National Statistical System want to play an innovative role in the European statistical community. We want to set an example for our colleagues in the European Union, and that's what we have heard from our European partners, representatives of other counterparts of ours. We are now in a situation where challenges can be turned to opportunities to implement better projects, generating better stats for our nation and the European community. Chief Data Officer is the role that the State Statistical Service be performing, being an aggregator, vendor. There are 6 pillars of this transformation that we visualized as a Gantt chart. Integration, branding, new roles. So on this Gantt chart, we are here. That's what has already been started. That's where we can report back on our achievements, and from here to there is where we're heading for. So digitalization is the catalyst of our transformation. It's the enabler of this transformation and the infrastructure upon which we can build transformations, as digitalization helps us process more and use tools you couldn't have dreamt of at the times of statistical 1.0. In information age and information society, it is IT tools that help us fulfill the totality of the potential features. Sigma comes to my mind, that supports collection, analysis, dissemination of data. By the end of this year, we will implement 3 statistical products, but this won't be the end. Thanks to the achievements within this first stage of project, will be building more Armstat, cybersecurity, consistency that will be in the foundation of data usage. Euro integration comes next in this list, but in fact it is a framework. It is what shows us where we have to move towards. It's like rail tracks that help the train go and build decisions on quantitative data. We provide quantitative information on the development of the markets, environmental situation in Ukraine.
We have to observe these standards. This is our commitment from last year, and this is the commitment till 2028, full compliance, and at the same time, concurrently, we have to serve as an example for the European colleagues because of our innovation toolkit. I think that European integration is a minimal program, and with the compliance observed, we can offer toolkits, products, solutions, which will serve as an example, as a benchmark for the EU. This is our goal number 2. Number 3, renewal and reset of statistical production. You know that since 2022, since the full-scale invasion, statistical production or generation of statistics had some disruptions and hence interruptions. We could not collect all the information and process it timely. Now we are responsible for bridging the gap and restoring the completeness of the data and availability of the data. We have discussed the new system of collection of data for the household surveys. We've done that pilot in Ternopil region, and we are ready to make it scalable for the rest of the country. At the same time, we are developing the new statistical products that will be necessary and based on the new sources of data. As the Vice Prime Minister mentioned, we have to observe this as a strategical goal to replace surveys and polls with the data already available, because digital state is a state which is a data holder, administrative data. So we have to get rid of the unnecessary processes in our statistical production. We have an excellent dialogue with our colleagues from line ministries and other data holders, seamless approach and seamless transition. Well, this is also alternative statistics, because at the time of war, challenges are translated into opportunities, because during the war, we are deprived of the opportunity to process statistics in the traditional way. We cannot have a census, we cannot have a survey in the frontline territories. We cannot hope for getting information with the timeliness that we are used to. There are some objective obstacles, of course, but at the same time we have a different approach. A number of population, we are working on this new methodology now to make it all, regardless of the gaps that we had in 2022, and regardless of the lack or absence of this continuity. Time-wise, experimental statistics, well, this is also about the use of new sources in order to create products which are not yet described in the requirements, which are not yet declared by the European Union, but necessary for our users. We have to experiment and to introduce new unique solution. Number 4, institutional capacity. This is the point of development with 4 priorities: to team building, product development, streamline the processes, and development of partnership. We need a strong team, a recognizable, eligible team with the competences, with the financial results expected to help us provide for the state service of statistics. It's because of the new competencies, new motivation, new incentives, new culture we can develop the new products. We have to streamline processes and influence and develop generation of statistics, internal processes. This is not just with the digital transformation, but lean approach and maximum productivity, because the state statistical services, any government institutions that is supported by taxpayers, should be as effective and as lean as possible. And we have to be economical. All this is impossible without support of our partners. I would like to use this opportunity to thank the Swiss government, the Swiss Confederation, and Eastern Europe Foundation. Well, we are rebranding now. Brand is not just a logo. This is about the way we present ourselves. Our presence, our image, our relationship and rapport with the clients, with the customers, with the end users. And we can say openly here that we are prepared for communication, and we would like to prove our expertise. And we are prepared to open up with the black boxes, with all the secrets of our trade, because results are often criticized. So let's talk about it. In a month, we'll be having a new big event with the experts. You're all invited, by the way, and there we will discuss the statistical production and the issues that we might anticipate. We are going to make it a regular event. This is a new format of our interplay and open and honest dialogue, for that matter, because it's only with a team building, team spirit that we can provide for tapping on the potential properly. We're doing this for the sake of Ukraine, for the sake of our government, for the sake of our business, and for the sake of our people. Let me say that we are presenting the logo. This is how it looks. The font, the three of quadrants. You can see quadrant 3. That is a mathematical object that is used to provide data in detail. This is used in math, but also in CBEC format in order to present pictures, compressing the data. But it also symbolizes the big holding the small, like in statistics. When you evaluate some indicator, you should see behind it the districts, the community-based data, and all those data, the macro, medium, and micro level are available, should be available. And the sixth point, our ambition, that is what we do. This is the new role. This is what we are just approaching. This is not just development of statistics. This is not just collection, analysis, and presentation. This is better aggregation, consolidation, and new quality attached to the data and the products that are to be used in the future and serve the purpose of development for Ukraine. Well, that's what we are trying to achieve. And with the institutional capacity and funding, we'll be able to attain that for the State Statistical Service of Ukraine. In closing, let me say that the distance covered, the road has led us to presentation of this new slide. This is not the end line, but this is just another station. That concludes my presentation. And let me show a short video. New portal Stat.gov, a modern state-of-the-art platform for access to data. This is the result of the project of digital transformation with the State Statistical Service. Available unified structured data for decision-making in the government, business, and general public. One platform for analysis and dissemination means. Data bank, more than 2,000 indicators, 100 sets, quick search, dashboards, dynamic matrices, direct links to the necessary indicators and sets of data, innovation, AI assistant, Stat GPT answering in Ukrainian or English, very quick. You can download in all formats or with the use of an API. While this is modern state-of-the-art dashboards and filters, calendar publications, and schedule for reporting. This is the new portal of official statistics, Stat.gov.ua, State Statistics 2.0. Thank you. Artem, Rudko, CDTO. Your presentation is next. Good morning, everyone. We have already mentioned this. Let me start from 2021, though, when Mykhailo Fedorov initiated changes in the State Service of Statistics, and we started with an audit. Among other things, we conducted not just the paper-related audit and process-related audit. Information system audit was a very important part of it. So the information systems operational at that point. Those operational systems were so different and programmed at different times, starting from the 90s. So I call them a zoo, a software zoo, and it needed rearranging, but because the systems were not integrated from the point of view of statistical observations and the context of generation of statistics, meaning collection, processing, and dissemination. So at the beginning of 2022, they developed this concept of digital transformation, and the key elements of that concept were creation of the new system, new information system to replace all the legacy systems for statistical observations, and most importantly, with that integrated platform, we had to collect, process, and disseminate data in a new way. Here we have the diagram, the data flow chart, and you can see that basically it was about processing. This is the most challenging part. That's why I decided to start with it. On the other hand, this is about, well, shall we say, internal processes in the State Service of Statistics. This is not for the external stakeholders, unlike collection and dissemination that directly depend on such stakeholders and exist for their sake, especially at the stage of dissemination. So we are basically talking here about collection and dissemination. We have already mentioned, Mykhailo has mentioned, and Arsen as well, our data. That is the most important statistic generation tool. If we digitalize bullshit, we get these digitalized bullshit. Shit in, shit out. As the saying goes, with the bad data, no processing can turn that into high-quality statistics. And the State Service of Statistics presently and all the international statistical services are using two basic types of data. The data collected by the statistical service for the statistical purposes and administrative data. Administrative data are the data generated or produced by other organizations, public and private. In the majority of cases, they do not collect, but they can provide, rather, for processing and utilization. So we have to increase the share of administrative data, and the administrative data should replace surveys and reports to release, relieve them of the unnecessary manual chores, to avoid overlaps, because some information already contained in the register should not be requested again, never again. Now the steps that we've heard so far. First of all, the law on official statistics. In 2022, the new law on official statistics read that all the official statistics should become available. That was the first step. We had lots of cases with the conflict of law, where different laws regulated different storages of statistical data, different registers, in other words, so we could not provide direct access. But step by step we were solving that, and presently we have at least 21 information systems or register for access of data regulated by special laws, with the amendments made to provide free access, uninterrupted access for the statistical service to such register. Using the opportunity, I would like to thank all the colleagues responsible for digital transformation in different institutions. Thank you for being our ambassadors, conductors, and facilitators, our partners. And we have this general common shared goal for administrative data to ride supreme. With the architecture of platforms, we took into account the API constructor that provides for agile and comfortable connection to other information systems. These are the systems which reach through Trumpeta interface. We also have Trumpeta connected to Sigma platform. Back in 2025, all that platform received the conformity certificates for all this process and to proceed with proper processing of data. This is about processing. This is too busy and too complicated for this short presentation. Dissemination of data. Dissemination is the very reason for the statistical service to exist, because without this there is no raison d'être, so to speak. When we were building up our platform, even designing it, we were taking into account all the requests, all the wish lists. We divided our beneficiaries into separate groups, identifying their specific needs. And we can see that there are two principal groups of users that we can call professional. These are professionals, indeed. They have their own system for data processing, visualization of data, and they do not need any additional interface. They need raw data and easy access to them. The second category is experts working with data using interfaces of other systems, and just general public. To cut a long story short, we can say that general public, well, in my experience anyway, they do not always know that GDP and inflation is calculated by the state's statistical service. Perhaps it doesn't concern them. And there is another category. They know who calculates GDP, they know how different it can be, they know how to apply it and with what purpose. And professionals, data analysts, they think that they can calculate GDP better than state statistical service itself. We had to take into account all those categories. Let's start with the professionals. This is API of our data bank. This is not exactly correct because this is, to be precise, the Sigma system API, but it provides access automated with the opportunity to configure all the data available with the data bank, providing for the needs of professional analysts, data analysts. And this is all placed in the new portal. For the second category of users, we developed a unique instrument that is what we call a data bank, with unified access to all the statistical information generated by the State Statistical Service and the history. With the old side of State Statistical Service, we had a whole set of formats and Excel files and separate interfaces we had to inspect.
Opening stats, demographics, economic, or rather in well-known Excel format, the user could bump into the diversity of presentation or interfaces, which was wrong. Clearly, colleagues from ministries and their statistical units called me and said, look, I know you do that type of stats, but we can find it on your site. Unacceptable. So the decision was made to unify the interface, hence the data bank, the sole storage with the unified filters, visualizations, enabling comparisons between data. And as you may have noticed in the video, the option to share a link to the predefined set of filters. I mean, any researcher can make his own set of filters and then send a link to a colleague rather than a snapshot of what can be seen on screen. And the third category of users, the ordinary citizens, so to speak, that had not ever used the data of the State Statistical Service or known about them. Because to be able to do that, you need to understand the list of data sets, indicators, and their designations in order to be able to search for any specific indicator. Even the new tool, the new data bank, isn't sufficient for someone to search for straightforward information such as GDP or something like that, unless you know that it is one and the same thing. So the AI assistant, ChatGPT, base that we developed and introduced this year, using it, a person who knows nothing about statistical terminology can find information using natural language. They use in everyday life. The data source for this assistant is the data bank. Technologically, we use tool. The chat is guided by a set of rules so as to prevent the AI from generating something that looks like statistical data but is not. So it helps you search for numbers, but there is no way it can interfere with the numbers. It just helps you navigate through and through. Let's take a simple query. Well, for instance, carrots. There exist different data related to carrots. Crop expert, so a person may just ask, what about carrots? And see that the assistant returns some indicators that can help it use some and get access to usable analytics. Next year, we are going to increase the share of administrative data and automate information exchange with regard to what's already there. We are also launching the official portal of the State Statistical Service. In addition, however, there are 25 more regional statistical offices, and next year we are planning to make sure that this portal replaces the regional sites. AI LLM was something that only few people knew about in the end of 2022. Today, models tend to change almost on a weekly basis, and we'll certainly be working on improving our AI. Thank you. Thank you, Artem, for a very comprehensible presentation. Since, however, we are going to have a panel discussion during our event, we need to change the settings a bit. I will, however, tell you briefly that you yourself can test a lot of things you heard about today, and that Nuke over there, you may have noticed a number of LED panels, so please, after we have finished our proceedings, you can proceed to that Nuke and try your hand at the system. So don't hesitate. Now, however, we have a panel discussion on the role of statistics that until very recently used to be just a pile of data, but now capable of informing multiple decisions. Data collected and systematized according to the Eurostat guidelines. Why official status so important? Because it helps governments make informed decisions, businesses assess the situation in different markets, and citizens understand the changes, and of course it helps citizens see the real picture of the nation. Sometimes you hear that some things are premature during this war. Transformation is very timely because many of them rely on official data, officially collected, processed, and systematized by the state statistical service. So I have noticed that we are ready to open this panel discussion in which clients will hear more about what data they need, what EU is expecting to see to this. And let me ask head of Promedia NGO, Mr. Yanetsky, who will be moderating this panel discussion, and other panelists. Arsen Makarchuk, Deputy Minister of Economy, Environment and Agriculture of Ukraine. Please come to the podium. Not all those invited to take in the panel discussion have arrived, but we will start anyway. I see, however, those who have come. So, Olena Hrajdan, business reporter, Kyiv Post. Could you please, ma'am, come and take a seat on the podium? Mykhailo Fedorov, EC Communications, EU Delegation to Ukraine, a permanent representative of IMF, Kashina Topana. If we have Deputy Minister of Community and Regional Development, Mr. Bacon, you are invited too. Founder and CEO of Univer Investment Group, Mr. Taras Kozak. Welcome. Kozak, I'm sorry, for Executive Director of the Ukrainian Union of Entrepreneurs, Ms. Klaskova. And Deputy Minister of Economy, Environment and Agriculture of Ukraine, Ms. Marchuk, is on her way, I was told. And Mr. Rebekin as well. We won't rearrange the photos shown on the slide. I will, with your kind permission, take a seat to what this panel discussion is about and how come there is not a single representative of the State Statistical Service of the Ministry of Digital Transformation on this podium now. Because we are all users of what they produce. So let me ask you, how do you use this data in your work towards your ends?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. I think it's the first time I participate to a conference of the statistics service of Ukraine. So thank you very much. So I represent the IMF, and we use data all the time. One of the ways in which we use the data is to compile what we call the macro framework, which is a sort of a representation of the Ukrainian economy as we see it in the different sectors. So in the real sectors, fiscal sectors, external sectors, monetary and financial sectors, we use data. Then obviously we use it for analysis and research. But what I wanted to focus on is that we also use it on developing policy recommendations and monitoring conditionality. So I think you know that Ukraine has an IMF program. Currently, it is negotiating a new one. There is going to be conditionality that your government has accepted. And one way to check, for example, criteria such as minimum amount of revenues that Ukraine has to collect, or maximum deficit or minimum level of FX reserves, we do that through data. I would say that we use most, GDP and inflation data, and while we also use, to get a sense of how the economy is going, and while we also use data provided, for example, by surveys, confidence survey or business survey, the GDP and inflation data that we get from the statistics service is obviously has a rigor and an efficiency and a level of quality which we appreciate very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I understand that IMF is primarily keen to get macroeconomic data in the OECD. What about you? I would like to congratulate our colleagues from the State Statistical Service on this event, actually on the new opening the new page in the history of the State Statistical Service. I would also like to recall that the State Statistical Service has been on our board of statistics since 2016. OECD, as you may know, bases almost all of its activities on statistical data. That's why we need so much access to quality data in Ukraine. Like IMF, we have our own support program for Ukraine, within which we support structural reform undertaken by the government of Ukraine. I will not be very specific describing the system. I will only say that the program embraces 31 projects in different areas. So data needed, reliable data, I'll add to develop guidance for the government of Ukraine. Other macroeconomic data, 31 projects I mentioned, they are being implemented in a range of different areas: macroeconomic policy, social policy, education, taxation policy. So we use a range of various data, and you needn't try and convince us why we rely so much on the data generated by the statistical service. And businesses, what kind of data you use? Okay, let me also first congratulate the statistical service with their restart, reset. Second, I'll only mention that business is part of this dialogue, and how would you say, business as part of the society that uses statistics and generates or provides them. So how do businesses use data? Primarily, again, in order to get the bearings in the situation, to grow awareness of what's going on in various sectors. As since I am a representative of the business association that has almost 1,500 companies from all around Ukraine, we work extensively as an institution with the stats, with the statistical data, because we address different public authorities with our proposals and need data to argue for the changes we champion for. We have an analytical unit that makes routinely references to the data provided by the statistical service. For instance, number of new companies started up in Ukraine or terminated. Businesses, on the other hand, are required to report using data to corroborate their reports on a regular basis. We have yet another representative of the business community, Mr. Kozak. Thank you, Andrei, and the conveners of the event for extending the invitation for me to come and speak. And data used by the financial sector are, well, crucial, and we probably use this data most of the time. Statistical Service, National Bank of Ukraine, and the Ministry of Finance, three institutions that generate lots of data. Plus, there are private data providers, and for instance, Minfin.ua website presents statistical data in quite convenient manner, and finally, the Statistical Service embarked on that road. As financial sector, we are interested very much in the data describing inflation currently and in the past.
This is about investment, because the principal mission of investor is to stay ahead of the inflation. If we invest and the earnings are lower than the losses to inflations for individuals, for companies, for equity funds, it's the same situation. It's a crucial, important indicator. Let me say that the general public do not trust in our statistical bodies. This is the error This is the fold of your common Ukrainian. You can see that carrots being 50% more expensive than yesterday or some time ago. They think it's inflation. They cannot understand the fuel being on the rise and causing that. So they understand the prices, the price list. So the state statistical committees should build up this trust among common Ukrainians, so basically general public. We have to open up with the methodology, explanations, analytical information, so forth. But we trust. If you look up my Facebook account, you can see that after about 7 years, every year, 1, 2, or 3 posts I make with this standard graph for the chart of inflation changing over this history period, 1 or 2 years and so forth. And I would follow over the State Service of Statistics and do my analysis, adding it to the official issue coming from the state stat. Well, and the financial sector, basically, the National Bank are doing inflation targeting. So the principal thing is price or financial stability, interpreted as price stability. So this is this is about inflation staying in the corridor, as we say, about 9% to 5%. Or not, the targeted indicator. These are the principal investment related data. We new bonds, corporate bonds, and so forth. So each time when we have the issuer presenting their issuance, we have to take the expected inflation into account, because this is the future revenue. And we should watch the earnings expected profitability, and we have to conduct additional polls, surveys. This is being done by the National Bank, but I'm not sure how relevant it is. You are now trespassing, Taras. This is the second question. This is inflation, and we use with our own sets of data. We can see the payroll. This is for the first, for the second part. But I use that. This is my sensitive point, my soft point, perhaps. So we are joined by Deputy Minister of Environment, Arsen Makarchuk, Deputy Minister for Communities and Territories, Alexei Rebikin. Alexei, we are discussing the statistical data, and perhaps there are some new approaches other than we are knowledgeable of with the macroeconomic indicators. Well, this is inflation is number one. What are you interested in, being in your position? Thank you, and let me greet you on behalf of the Ministry. Alexei Kuleba, Vice Prime Minister, responsible for recovery of Ukraine. And let me say this. Well, we missed that kind of dialogue, that kind of format. I would like to thank you for the leadership. We can see the State Service of Statistics is a powerful player, starting a very good and very important thing, and a very necessary one. I would like to thank our Swiss partners for their continuous support. Our ministry is among the lucky eligible partners getting this assistance. It is considerable. It has to do with all the policies that we make, basically, or principal ones. For any kind of policy, you see, for policy making, data is key. We cannot make high-quality policy without a set of high-quality data, because this policy then fails into account the past, the present, and the future, of course. Speaking of regional policies, people tend to think that it is some kind of murky waters or something in the glass darkly. But in order to identify which territory is lagging behind, we need data, of course. And this is not a discovery of our country. This is not unique. All the civilized, all the EU countries have some data as a basis for policy making and policy evaluation in terms of efficiency. Speaking of our European integration, data still is the necessity for all the levels, and that includes local and regional. Now, this is not much reflected in the products of the state service of statistics, but we are in the middle of our talks, and we need improvement there. Speaking of cohesion policy, European cohesion policy, using different resources and implementation of specific projects and programs is usually evaluated with the statistical data in hand. And this year, our ministry are introducing this territorial approach, as we call it, for resource distribution. Resources available with us. I would like to explain this concept. It is very easy. It is about identifying the territory that needs resources most, provide such resources, and evaluate that the resource is utilized to overcome this disproportion, developmental disproportion, or shrinking, if not disappearing, with a positive trend registered. This year we are introducing this approach, not necessarily with the statistical data. At this point we are using the approach that we have this order 376 with the hostility affected territories. And those regions who have such territories, they create the horseshoe of the arch of the frontline territories. The ones who visited it or such territories, they can be my witnesses. They see development in a different way than people see it in Kiev or Lviv, for that matter. They have more needs than the central or western regions, because the latter are recipients of relocated companies creating economic activities, products, revenues, and relocation of people, because IDPs mostly go to the central and western part. So statistical data serve as the basis, as the baseline, perhaps, for evaluation of the quality of our policy making. This is not just our ministry. All the governmental institutions of any level, self-governance for that matter, should be data-based, data-oriented. This is key for policy making, policy implementation, and subsequent evaluation of the policies made and implemented. I would like to thank Arsen specifically and your institution, because I'm very happy to be here and maintain this dialogue. I hope that I have not trespassed on your time and you diverse from the original questions. So it is not just about the statistics, it's about the other related circumstances. Speaking of the Ministry of Economy, I know the new name is much longer than that. I cannot yet remember it, but what kind of data are important? All the data. I think the obvious answer is, but Can you specify, please, for investment, inflation? Well, I think that this is a question with the obvious answer. We're a big minister. We cannot specify. Nothing is unimportant. That's a short answer. I do, for example, I deal with macroeconomics and strategic planning. I need macro data. My colleagues dealing with environment deal with the footprint, emissions, so forth. The agricultural specialists, they collect everything because for the agriculture, you know, for poultry production, and everything is important because I cannot say that there are important and unimportant things. The same is true for the labor markets, and obviously we have no statistical observations, and very often we cannot base our judgment on the updated official data, like Alexis said, to make our policies correctly. We are happy that you're holding such discussions and proposing such events. We hope it will become a regular opportunity for us as a ministry. You see, it is important to update all the statistical observations, to expand the techniques, and I would like to dedicate a separate discussion to that. And it is also very important to have the techniques and the categories arranged. Discussing euro integration specifically, for Ukraine we have some economic criteria and related commitments, and there is a whole set of novelties, the new required statistical data that we are supposed or committed to collect, to be exact, because this is part of our accession. Now, about the issues that, for example, on our view can be, well, using the opportunity of having Arsen around. Well, these are instruments for our progress, and we understand that presently we are dependent on the statistical reporting coming from the companies. There are many indicators, you see, which in one way or another are utilized by us, but they are not exactly reflected in the statistical data. Mobile operators data. I am responsible for the labor market. Before that, I was with the Minister of Social Policy. With Alexis, we would do a lot for IDPs. And we understand that the mobile operators' data on movement of people around the country are critical. But these data are not used statistically, let's say. And when we discuss the actual steps and the expectations that people place with our ministry and the data where we can see the room for augmentation and improvement, this is the register-related statistic. Fewer surveys and polls and automation of data collection with the use of registers, what is called administrative data. But now some data of that administrative character are not yet statistically implemented. Let's say the Netherlands, their statistical bureau are using the National Population Register and the Commercial Register as the principal sources for statistics in labor and demographics. We have the public demographic register, which is quite reliable and verified to deal with. In addition to that, we think we have to introduce big data and in non-conventional sources, the mobile operators data or collection of price lists from the internet shops, e-commerce, to analyze the consumer prices index. And the third big block is harmonization, further harmonization with the European standards. As far as data are concerned, the harmonized consumer price index. We have a lot of room for development and cooperation. As a ministry, we are interested in cooperation with the State Service of Statistics, with the traditional and non-conventional approach to the new techniques for collection of data, and we would like to wish our colleagues from the State Service of Statistics great progress and movement towards the ideal set of official data. That starts our answering the second question on the things that can be changed, on the things that can be improved to increase the influence, the impact of the service. I would like to ask journalists. We have one member of this professional from Kiev Post, an English-speaking outlet. Well, I would like to ask you, perhaps you have some expectations or ideas as to what kind of information should be collected by the service and from which sources exactly, inclusive the registers. Good morning. I'm working for an English-speaking outlet, but my experience of a financial journalist is 5 years, and it includes the Ukrainian media. So I would like to refer to what Taras and Darina said before me. People are disillusioned as far as data are concerned, but journalists can revive this trust. And for the journalists who specialize in economics, data is everything. This is also the reference point, because you can describe the economic situation, describe a piece of news, or make coverage with a bigger article or big feature. Even inflation is one example of that, and a good one. We use it at the 10th of every month. We get the reports on inflation. I subscribe to the bulletin, but there was that year when inflation was on the rise, and now it's going down, and this is a story in its own right, describing the happenings in our economy. So for the journalists who deal in economics, this is the reference point, and a very important one at that. So speaking of our satisfaction or dissatisfaction, I think we have to rethink the role. State Service of Statistics should serve as a platform, offering the necessary things, the things in demand, and in a right format. I think for that we need some data that are not necessarily generated by the services of some different commercial contributors. We can think of some arrangements and understandings, but that should mean that you enter the portal and find what you need. And my collaboration with this service, macroeconomic and sectoral, it's both. That's how journalists actually measure the temperature in different parts of our economic organism. During the war, the time of war, yesterday, The Economist discussed in the article Lviv and Kharkiv and the municipal economies of the said cities. Mobile operator data, they had to be requested and manually obtained. That can be improved, of course, but this is a patchwork, and journalists have to.
So sectorial data is as important. I specialize in finances and, of course, use Ministry of Finances, National Bank's data, but farmers go to data generated by the Ministry of Agriculture, and therefore I gradually do that too. So one platform is something that will certainly improve the situation, but not overnight. You mean all data consolidated and within one, so to speak, space. Yes, and the same time you need to have different options for processing the data. You know, at times you wanna use just a graph. Sometimes does it take time to get used to something new? Well, yes, it does. But look, inflation was something I used data for the new site. Well, I approximated a lot, but now I manage a column in the Kyiv Post showing basic inflation, ordinary and NBU's figures, so people can easily compare between. So it is convenient. Okay, I won't ask everyone for their recommendations to improve, but if you have any, we have just a half an hour, and I am still very keen to encourage a discussion on money. So, Katerina, Taras. Switch. Yeah, it should be on now. Well, I have brought an answer, so we'll share. Now, businesses say that stats is used for survival, but we need more for planning, for projecting. Currently, the planning horizon has decreased significantly. 10 or 20 years is never. We only can deal with a 3-year planning horizon. He was right. It means that many things tend to change too fast, and you unfortunately don't have time or resources to recalculate all those projections. It would be great if the portal of the State Statistical Service could do that. And one other thing, if I were to jump ahead a little bit, changes. Yes, it's coming. Arsen's presentation. Arsen, you hear me? Thank you very much. You've demonstrated a totally new approach, used a wholly new lexicon, so to speak, to describe your approach. So I think this team has every chance to accomplish what we all strive. And data collection needs unification, because sometimes we see a discrepancy between data shown by the State Statistical Service and some line ministry, for instance, which leaves you guessing why it happened. And of course, that unification will certainly build trust. Taras, Alexei, then. Well, a couple of wishes to make. Statistics for the people, for the citizens, make it more accessible, understandable, comprehensible, through maybe some case studies, or maybe even animations. I understand that this team is capable of doing, of making stats accessible to Ukrainians and trusted by them. It takes some considerable effort, but something that will be much appreciated, I'm sure. Second, single data center, so to speak. All public institutions that generate its own statistics should make it available to the center, or at least links where one can find this data at their own site. And disclosure. Unfortunately, we all know that some government officials show inflation-related data earlier than they appear on the site. I think that some standards need to be put in place, such as National Bank that makes inflation data at 1400 hours. No official should have privilege to disclose data earlier than this center. Number 4. Average wages through the economy. We use this data ourselves, but it's important to be able to see not just average, but mean. That is to say, the income made by average Ukrainians, and because yes, some salaries are pretty high and they distort the main figure. That's something that I can give you from the top of my head, but otherwise the site looks great and I think it's got the future. Thank you, Alexei. Just Alexei, no patronymics. Katerina said that in strategic planning 20 years is never. Let me disagree. I dare disagree. Well, the government cannot go on with this 1 or 3 year horizon. Large-scale projects are implemented over more extended periods of time, not 1 year or 2 years, and you can measure it by using the institutional capacity. Take, for instance, rehabilitation of a hospital or school in a small community. It would take probably 18 months in the very least, if not more. On the other hand, if you let it happen over more than 3 years, you shouldn't expect any result at all. But you need to be able to differentiate between what is feasible, what's not, what's doable, what's not. I'm not sure that stats can generally be a product used by each and everyone, but there may exist certain products that are worth of popularization in order to build trust in data, because if you trust data, you will trust decisions made on the basis of this data at different level of the government. I'll probably not talk more. I know that the Regional Development Information System is being implemented now with the support of our Swiss colleagues, and this will have a lot of data that support assessment of the territories at any given moment of time, or the performance of different programs implemented. After all, we all live in different communities. We are members of those different communities, and thus we are recipients of those services that these communities, territories provide to us. So I wish every success to the State Statistical Service. By the way, very happy to see Mr. Falanchuk from OECD, our true friends that help make our policies through their expert advice. So thank you very much. Okay, let me then ask you a question related to money. Yes, of course, we are all keen to hear from what people may expect of the State Statistical Service, but who will pay for all those great ideas? The government, the national partners, maybe businesses can chip in, maybe even citizens could contribute. Money, well, you can't live without money if you strive for quality data. What to improve? I'll start from here. Many speakers today has underscored that the State Statistical Service is to embrace new challenges, alternative technologies, AI, or independence of the statistical authorities. So let me submit that they are not altogether new challenges. Members, OECD member states have been facing similar challenges for quite some time. We discussed it on our statistical committee, and we are standing by ready to help State Statistical Service improve its performance. Well, technically, unfortunately, we cannot there are more potent partners that could step in here, and let me once again appreciate the assistance provided by the Swiss Confederation. But as partners, we are ready to share our knowledge and expertise regarding regulations of statistical services within the framework of the country program I mentioned earlier. We do reviews of the statistical policies, identifying various decisions taken by the Ukrainian regulatory authorities and comparing them with the ones taken by our partners. The project is not over just as yet, but in the final analysis, I hope we'll be able to give advice as to how State Statistical Service may want to change financing. Well, OECD, and it's a sensitive issue, believes that statistical information is public good. But access to public good like that is within the discretion of the member states, including Ukraine, insofar as all countries may differ here, but stats have to be accessible and user-friendly, that's for sure. Thank you. I could not attend the presentation of the site, but later on I had a look at it from the point of view of a policy maker, to be able to call, say, the sectorial breakdown for persons working 2.1 is, well, an achievement like no other. So we can only say thank you to the team for that. And something that I believe would be important, many data, sectorial data, are 2019, 2020 data. But look, it's 2025 around. Once jointly with Demographic Institute, we did a joint study on the composition of households and the employment situation. So why don't we do surveys like that, at least where it is practicable? Because without actual current data you can rely on, it is extremely difficult to do your job well. Priscilla, as far as I believe she knows the situation in different countries, how do you think we can use it in order to create a really powerful statistical service in Ukraine?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Who should pay for
That's
and maybe
an important question.
international experience who pay in other countries?
I agree with Mykhailo. I think that there are many stakeholders in a democracy that are interested in having a lot of data, transparent data, good quality data. But maybe we also consider it a public good. The fact of having lots of data, good quality data, is a public good. And maybe as a public good,